I had several people that were kind of interested in how my wife makes her pie crust, so I decided to do this video about it. And one thing she stressed is make sure that you have ice cold water. There you can see there's some ice in it, and also ice cold butter. And there she uses for her shortening. She uses that Crisco shortening. So this is basically how she puts the pie crust together. And it's all done in, we have a heavy duty Cuisinart food processor, and it takes about 5 minutes to make it, and it's all basically done in the food processor. So first thing she does is she starts with just 2.5 cups of what she calls an all-purpose flour, and everything goes into the food processor like you see. Then there's a half teaspoon of salt, and we usually use the sea salt when we use salt in anything. And then you have 6 tablespoons of cold butter, and they're just cut on the lines on the little butter wrapper, so you have 6 individual pieces. And then she has the pre-measured out 6 tablespoons of shortening that goes in the processor also. So basically, you can see it's a really easy to make, no mess pie crust, and we really like the way it comes out. So everything goes in the food processor, and she just uses the blade in there for like the chopping blade in the processor. And then once everything's in there, she just pulses it a couple of times until all those ingredients are, blended up and mixed really well together. Okay, now with that all mixed together real good, next thing you do is to add the ice cold water, and she starts by taking the ice cubes out of the cup of water there, which keeps it really cold, and then just gets it down to the half-cup measurement before starting the blender up again. And then this is the speed at which she adds the water to it. So you can see it's like a very low, really slow pour into the mixture there. So it does take a little while for to get the water in there. And then once the water's in there, the dough will start to basically, you can see it thickening up in the food processor. And then all of a sudden, it'll just kind of turn into like one ball in the food processor. And that is when you just shut it off. So, I mean, that was basically real time. So as you can see, it's a really quick, easy to make recipe. So once you're done blending it, she's got one of those silicone pads that she uses for rolling stuff out on. You just take it out of the blender or the food processor cup there, and then just knead it back and forth a couple times. I don't know, that's how many times she did it that I'm showing you. So after doing that, she just cuts it in half, and that gives you a top and a bottom crust for a pie. Now she kneads each of those little halves for a couple seconds there, as you can see, shapes it into the form that she wants, and then just take some of that stretch tight plastic wrap and seals the two halves in it. Once they're all sealed up and everything, you have to put them in the refrigerator. And she says basically, I think it's a minimum of a half hour. And I guess basically it can stay in the refrigerator for up to 24 hours until you use them. So if you just need one crust, sometimes she'll make two and just put one in the refrigerator and make another pie the next day. So, after coming out of the refrigerator, this is just kind of a little add-on where she was trying to make a new style grape pie for me. So, the bottom crust, she just takes it out, throws it on that board, and put some flour on the rolling pin. And actually, that's a rolling pin that I made for, I think it was last year or whatnot. And she really says that it helps her to roll out the crust a lot nicer. I mean, it was just a piece of maple that I harvested from our backyard and cut and sawed and dried and turned, and it's custom fit to how she wanted it. So she's real happy with that, and it does help her. It's a lot easier for her to roll out the pie crust, I think, than she used to have one of those silicone rollers that had two handles on it. That was really a lot more trouble to use. So I guess part of the secret to the pie crust is make sure that you have a good rolling pin to make it easy to roll out and get to the size that you need. Now, I'm not including the recipe for this grape pie because it's something that she was just trying to experiment with. Usually when she makes a grape pie, she uses separates the grapes and the skins and uses the skins in the pie also. But just so happened that this year our Concord grapes, the skins on them from being so dry out, the skins on them are extremely tough, and we really didn't want to put them in a pie because we thought they might turn into rubbery leather to chew. So she decided to pick some grapes the other day and try a new recipe that does not use the skins. So she picked the grapes yesterday, and then what she did is she took the skins off of them, and then once you have the skins off, you just take that pulp and you put it through like a strainer to get the seeds out of it, and then you just wind up with like a grape puree that she's going to be using in this. Plus, she had to play around and add some other things to thicken it because the skin is usually what provides the pectin to the pie to thicken it, from what I understand. So there's the bottom crust she's got all done. Then there's a layer of, it's like a topping, just like some sugar and oatmeal and a bunch of other spices and whatnot. So she puts a layer of that in first. Then now this is that grape puree that I was telling you about, along with some other things mixed in. But so next she just adds what she mixed up there to the pie plate. And then it's another layer of that same, it's kind of like a topping material that goes on top of the pie there. So with that layer, the topping on it, she goes back and grabs the top crust from the refrigerator, and she said, it's important to always try and keep these as cold as you can to have the easiest time working with them and get the best possible crust. So, she takes that out, and the same thing, just roll it out. She took the little piece that was left over that she ripped off the overhang from the other crust and just added it in just in case you need a little extra. And this is just the same thing all over again. Just kind of rolling it out, and she's gotten pretty good at this, and it only takes her a couple minutes. Now, if this pie really turns out good, then someday in the future I'll try to do a video of exactly what the ingredients are that she used, and exactly how she processed the grapes and made the pie. But right now, as it stands, this is just kind of an experiment. That she's trying to see if you can make a grape pie without using the outer skin. So, and this will be a good test. And I definitely volunteered to be the taste tester on it. So with the next crust done, now we're basically going to move it over to the stove and get it a little bit closer so nothing gets spilled, and then just install the top crust on top of the that other filling there. And now it's just a matter of going back and trimming it up So there's not really, so she's got just the right amount overhanging, and somehow she goes back and starts folding all the top and the bottom together to make it one. And then the last thing is just kind of pinch it up a little bit. And with this one, she's she's putting another layer of topping on. So she's going to try to make that, that top crust have a little bit deeper pocket to be able to hold that topping. So there you can see she's just kind of going around, tying it all together and making it look a little bit better. And finishing it up there. And I really don't know any of the terms or anything that you use for pie making, so I'm just kind of rambling on here. All right, she's got the top all installed and formed in place, and then it's a matter of taking some egg, scrambling it up, and just putting a layer of, I guess you call it egg wash or something, on the pie. I don't know what this does, but I guess it helps brown up the crust or something like that. And then once she's got that on, poke a couple holes. And from what I understand, they are to allow all the steam to escape while the pie is cooking, so the thing doesn't blow up in the oven or something like that. So, just put a couple holes randomly around it. And then it's time to go back and add that last layer of the topping / filling mixture. And same thing, she's just gonna, sprinkle it around in that pocket she made on the top there. And pie is basically all ready to go in the oven. Now, there was a little fear that it may cook over. She doesn't know what's going to happen with it, so do a little bit of aluminum foil on a pan to put it in just in case it does. And from here, it's off into the oven, and there you go. A couple of minutes later, it comes out of the oven, all cooked up. Smells really great in the house. It smells just like a vineyard. And the pie actually wound up coming out extremely good. There's a slice of it, and here's what it looks like. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe.